Hello everyone and welcome to the preview of the 12 Hours of Sebring. It's a new season here on Racesport TV. I'm Connery Medic. I'm joined by Ryan Walker. It's Racesport Friday prime time once again, and we trade in those little skippies for some multi-class racing action, and it comes first here at Sebring. 35 degrees Celsius in terms of the track temperature. You see the rest of that information up on screen because, quite frankly, it's second to what I'm going to say next, and that is that this field is absolutely ridiculous. The strength of field is absolutely insane. It seems like everyone and their mother as part of the pro scene, Ryan, has turned up to this race.
Yeah, absolutely, and also with 12 Hours of Sebring taking place tomorrow, tonight it gives these guys a chance, I should say, to get some early practice in and just get some last minute practice as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The overall strength of field is 6,470. If you're new to iRacing, that means that's the average iRating over the entire session. It's 6,428 in the Daytona Prototypes, 6,606 in the GTEs, as the quote-unquote the most skillful class here today in terms of iRating. And of course, in the GT3s, you have 6,368. So it's going to be absolutely crazy here today. There are so many names out there that you will recognize from the pro side of road iRacing, from the Porsche Esports Super Cup, from series that we broadcast here on Racesport, like the new Endurance Series and the Sportscar Open as well. And of course, those that take part in the BMW events, like the BMW 120. So this basically will give us a good idea, Ryan, of how things look, at least over a short run pace, coming into tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely, and also you've got some of the quickest drivers in iRacing out in force tonight as well, taking advantage of this first week of the season. I mean, you've got the likes of Joshua Rogers and also Tommy Ostergaard as well, and a few other quick drivers too. So plenty of quick drivers and some of the pro drivers out in force, and yeah, I think they'll be worth keeping an eye on, but also there could be some surprises happening tonight.
Could well be some surprises. Only 45 minutes of racing compared to the 12 hours that we'll be doing tomorrow. But there is a forced pit stop here in the IMSA Online Sports Car Championship. These cars have been fuel limited, so they will have to come down onto the lane for at least a top off in terms of the fuel. But speaking of quick drivers, perhaps one of the quickest in iRacing, and if you ask many people, he is the quickest in iRacing, Joshua Rogers. He heads his way across the line in his C7 Daytona Prototype, and he puts it where else than provisional pole position here in the qualifying session. We've only got about a minute and a half of this to go. And meanwhile, in GT3s, you see Juan Lopez out there in his Audi at the moment, trying to get himself onto the front row of the starting grid in that slowest class.
Yep, absolutely. I'm just looking throughout the field as well to see what drivers are in the GT3 class as well. GT3, you've got the likes of Cedric, and Kane Halliburton, and also Brian Lockwood and Alexia Loma, and a few other names as well. So some of the names from some of the guys from the Porsche Cup series are turning up tonight, and quite fancy having a go in some of these GT cars.
Yep, they do. Juan Lopez coming towards the end of a lap at the moment. He does have a 1:59.283 to beat. That was set by Moreno Sirica. And, Juan Lopez heading his way through Sunset Bend and gets himself towards track exit, but not feeling confident enough that he can get himself across the line to complete a competitive lap. So just brings that car to a stop, and that might be just as well, as we are about 20 seconds left remaining before getting ourselves switched over into that race session, so we can see how things look like coming into that big race tomorrow. But with that, Ryan, we're just about to go through our starting grids. But before we do so, it is going to be a decent pace lap here at Sebring. Just what are your expectations?
With it being a 45-minute race, I think most of these guys will probably just treat it as a as a sprint race, unlike the longer races, it's kind of the early stages you want to try and just settle down into a rhythm and just let it pan out. But with these 45-minute races, it's more of you've just got to go for it from the get-go and just gain any positions that you can gain.
Yeah, it's very much a sprint race here in this series, as opposed to an endurance one. But here is the starting grid then for the first week of Race Sport TV Friday primetime in the IMSA Online Sports Car Championship. Joshua Rogers, pole position with that VRS Kind Sim Sport Daytona Prototype. Jeremy Bootloop grabs himself second on the starting grid. So it's an all VRS Kind Sim Sports front row. And of course, you have Alex Trainer there in third place. Tim Graven in P number 4 to start this in the Daytona Prototype field. We have Patrick Schneider and Tommy Erstgaard bringing things down to P6. Luca von Leitner in P7 with Robin Hasse in P8. Manuel Sudau will start in P9 and Tommaso Cala will start in that final 10th spot. In GTEs, it looks a little bit like this. Daniel Lafonte is the pole man for that one. We got Gianni Vecchio on that front row as well. Maxime Briant in P3 with Weston Canapino in P4. Fabrice Cornelis with a return to competitive iRacing. He starts in P5. Josh Thompson starts P6. Yuri Kastorp in P7. Andrea Gesso in P8. And then Chris Lollam in P9, Keanu Bushman in P10, with Oliver Dean and Marcel Tai rounding out the top 12. Casey Kerwin from eNASCAR fame will start in P13, with Renan Azaredo in P14. Pablo Lopez will round out your middle class. And then in GT3s, or if you want to use IMSA terminology, GTDs, it's Moreno Sirica, pole position from Juan Lopez in second place, or rather Max Eston, excuse me, in second place. Juan Lopez actually starts in P3 with Jack Cedric in P4. Victor Preto starts P5, Caden Halliburton P6, Diego Catalan in P7. Rocco Barone will start in the 8th place here today in GT3. Sergej Maturana in P9 with Brian Lockwood in P10. Alexia Loma starts P11 with Dennis Grabowski in 12th. Jonathan White starts in 13th. Nicholas Laubish in 14th. And Barry Morrison will round out all the cars to take the start here. 15th place in GT3s. The drivers are out there just getting their pace lap underway, and this will give them a good opportunity here to get that separation coming towards the start here, Ryan, so they don't all trip over each other coming through the first sector.
Yeah, it's quite common for these multi-class races, especially in the IMSA series, that the classes are spread out and they leave each other a bit of a gap because, if they're close together at the start, there's a big possibility of these guys getting caught up and other classes getting caught up on a wreck as well. So they space it out before the start, and which is the best thing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see them heading their way through the turn 7 hairpin, and we've seen our fair share of incidents coming down into there on the iRacing side of things, let me tell you, and hopefully won't have any this time around, but that's certainly not a guarantee. As you can see, the Daytona Prototypes just working themselves through on this pace lap at the moment. And like I said at the very top of the broadcast, this race is going to be very much a sprint rather than an endurance race. So expect balls to the wall action from the very, very drop of the green flag.
Yep, and I think it's going to be interesting at the start of this race as well, the early stages of this race, to see what sort of approach that some of these guys use. We talked about it in the pre-race, in the build-up, I should say. But I think most of these quick drivers, or even some of the pro drivers, from the times I've watched them in the past, they'll probably try and use I wouldn't say aggressive approach, but just try and get away as quickly as possible.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll see if which of those drivers are successful. See, riding on board with Joshua Rogers at the moment, of course, Porsche Esports Super Cup 2019 champion, and of course that Coanda team has recently announced that they're going to move a good amount of their drivers into a dedicated team house in Germany. Just goes to show how much sim racing is sort of getting to a stage where it's starting to get a little bit crazy with everyone getting interested, and especially with the unfortunate situation that's befalling the world at the moment due to the coronavirus. This might be some of the only racing that we'll get to see this year, but hopefully that can be cleared up soon. Drivers just getting themselves ready for the start of this 45-minute event. You can see those GTEs just in the background waiting to get their race started as well, but Josh Rogers, he heads his way through the final corner. He is starting on the outside line here. Pole position, it will be the inside into turn number 1. Pace car down onto the safety of pit lane, field into the control of Rogers as we will go green for flag racing here in Race Spot TV Friday prime time for a new season. Rogers able to get clear, boot loop in line, and also you have the driver of Alex Trainer third in line. They all push a little bit wide coming through there, but everyone keeping themselves safe on the racing circuit. You see the GTE race start now with Daniel Lefonte leading them into turn number 1. Gianni Vecchio in second place, and Maxime Briant's currently being pressured third by Augustin Canapino. Looking at GT3s though, Sirica's gotten away well. Juan Lopez in second place, Victor Preto third, and Max Esterson goes down to fourth place. So I think he's lost a position or two on the start there, so not exactly ideal for the driver of the number 4. But as far as what I can see, it's relatively clean, although I do see a driver ahead that might have gotten themselves a bit of an incident. That's Marcel Tai, that's looking very, very slow for a GTE, and he's in amongst the GT3s now.
Yeah, not the sort of thing you need at the start of a race like this. You kind of just want to, you don't want to get caught up in another class or the cars from another class, but it looks like Marcel is slowly getting back through and managing to get back through the GT3 pack without any issues. As back up at the front, it's still Joshua Rogers leading at the moment.
Yep, it is, and he's already started to pull out a gap over his teammate. It's up to 1 second already. Meanwhile, Alex Trainer, though, trying to ride the back of Boot Loop coming through Le Mans, and that's a slowdown penalty there for Alex Trainer. He's having to bring that car down to a crawl, and now he'll be swamped coming down the back straight here. Schneider and Erstgaard have been able to work their way by down the inside at Sunset Bend, and Erstgaard might also be looking for more over Schneider coming through here. He's going to try and work himself through to the exit of the corner. Bit of a snap there. Just be careful with the grass on the outside there. And of course, the big old concrete wall, which does end the fate of a couple of cars during the 12 hours of Sebring. But Erskar just having to, he's just, wow, Trainer down the inside on the onboard there. That was absolutely ridiculous. Trainer taking no prisoners. He's trying to make up for his mistake with that penalty coming onto the back straight.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for Ostergaard. He just turned into turn 1 too early and just clipped the inside wall. And yeah, he took the position from Trainer on the back straight, but Trainer didn't hesitate in regaining the position or taking it back when Ostergaard made that mistake.
Yeah, absolutely, and we continue on looking at the Daytona prototypes at the moment, as they've already had their particular drama. Let's have a look to see what's going on in GTEs at the moment, though. Daniel Lafonte from Gianni Vecchio at the moment, as Vecchio as part of Team Redline, looking to get themselves a good result in this race, and of course that will extend to the 12 hours of Sebring as well. So, you know, getting your getting the weekend off to a good start is definitely going to be beneficial. We've had a bit of an incident further back though. Casey Kerwin perhaps involved in this one in his BMW, trying to find himself down the inside of one of the Ferraris there, and he just locks up a little bit too much, has to take to the escape road, but he does get out of everyone's way.
Yeah, it's an easy mistake to do there. It's an easy mistake to do at the hairpin, especially with it being so bumpy on the entry. It's you've kind of got to get your braking done in a straight line and then let it kind of roll it on the corner entry. But Casey just outbraked himself on the bumps and decided to take the escape road, which was a good thing to do, I think.
Yeah, so just keeping himself and others out of danger by taking the escape road, but coming up onto 4 minutes of this race complete already here. Having a look at this race leading battle in GTEs, or GT Le Mans if you so want. Vecchio definitely going to have a ton of pace coming into this race, and He is one of those drivers that is the cream of the crop when it comes to GT racing here on iRacing. He has 8,500 iRating. He has a Pro World Championship license, so he's going to use all that experience to his advantage right now. But the thing is, this is still early on into the race round. I did say it was a sprint race, but it's early on into a sprint race, so you still can't really be taking too many risky moves at this point. And of course, you do have that scheduled stop to factor in as well.
Yeah, I can understand with there's a bit of a argy-bargy going on in the background there. That was yeah, it looks like Josh Thompson was getting a bit frustrated with someone that made a move on him. That was in front of him. It's Fabrice Cornelis.
Yeah, and we'll get the replay as Josh Thompson in the Williams Shim car. Oh, down the inside, a little bit sketchy there, and Fabrice Cornelis just wondering exactly what was going on there. I think that was actually the number 25 that was involved in that one. There's a little bit of argy-bargy into the hairpin, but that is not a rest site at Sebring. You can just see the flash of the lights in frustration, though, from that driver, as that is Gayoso as Josh Thompson. Oh, yeah, that is Thompson, excuse me, that flash of lights. I'm getting myself all confused here. It's all going to be fine, though, as Thompson in that number 14 car, continuing on his way at the moment. And it seems like these GT packs have kept themselves together a lot more than what those Daytona prototypes have. As you can see, the yellow pan is out, and there's a little bit of front right damage to Thompson.
Yeah, I think that was just a result of the contact into the hairpin between him and Cornelis. I think Fabrice was a bit, I would say he was alongside, kind of, or there was a gap there, but it was a bit of an optimistic move. But Fabrice managed to pull it off and get it done, but Josh Thompson still not very happy about it.
Not happy, and well, we look to the battle in GT3s though, because it looks a little bit like this. Sirica, after a decent start, has been able to pull out a couple of tenths of a second over Juan Lopez at the moment, but not exactly being able to get away. And Lopez just keeping within the tail end of his slipstream at the moment and just keeping himself in contention. And sometimes all that you need to do, and then wait and bide your time for either a mistake or for another opportunity later on in the race. But right now, Juan Lopez seemingly going along well at the moment. And I'm just having a little bit of a look at this battle for P3 in your Daytona Prototype field at the moment, because Patrick Schneider, after picking up the pieces of Alex Trainer's slowdown penalty coming out of the Mon corner, it seems like he's been on the defensive ever since, and as a result, both Rogers and Bootloop are able to just run away at the front of this TP field at the moment.
Yeah, Rogers and Bootloop are just basically took advantage of these guys scrapping on themselves behind, and like you say, Conrad, they've just managed to pull away and build up a bit of a gap as we ride on board with Alex Trainer at the moment. Trainer's trying to get by Snyder, but behind Trainer is Tommy Ostergaard, so a good battle between these guys at the moment.
Yeah, and well, Schneider's just still yet to be able to find his way through just yet. You see a little secondary battle pack going on here as well, involving Tim Graven, you see Von Leitner, you see Tommaso Carla involved in this as well. So despite the Daytona prototypes not being in one big train like some of the GT classes are, it's just the fact that they've split up into these little battle packs of twos and threes. So that's maybe something we'll just have to keep an eye on for tomorrow's race, especially coming through those opening couple of stints. But looking at GTEs though, Lafonte is being pressured quite heavily here, I have to say, Ryan, by Vecchio. Lafonte isn't being given a lot of room to breathe right now, and Vecchio is just keeping himself within those good couple of tenths of a second. Unstable on the brakes into the hairpin. He spins that red line car around, and he has to get back going. He finds a gap in the traffic to pull into, but did he clip the edge of the grass here? I think he has. We'll have to see it on the replay, as you can just see it. Well, breaks into there, maybe. I didn't quite see it on that angle. But with these cars at the moment, they are very sensitive when it comes to going off the circuit, and Vecchio might have found that out the hard way.
Yeah, I was about to bring me on to my next point as well. Since
Oh, we
the
didn't.
update- Oh,
I don't think
Yeah.
he did.
yeah, that's so weird. But I was just about to say, if you clip the grass ever so slightly, since the update, I've noticed that the grass is a lot more. It's not as grippy as it was before. So if you get in the grass ever so slightly, you'll slide on it and spin around, as we've seen with Gianni.
Yeah, meanwhile, in your Daytona prototypes, Schneider still trying to hold on to a podium position at the moment and is doing quite admirably at it at the moment, but you know, there comes a point where Trainer, where Erskard really don't want to be held up any longer as they're seeing the two race leaders start to run away in this class. You know, how long do they leave it until they start trying to search for those risky moves?
Yeah, that's the thing with these races as well. With them being a shorter race, 45 minutes, it's kind of, you want to try and get by someone as quickly as possible, but you don't want to take any risks as Trainer closes up slightly on Schneider into the hairpin, but on the exit, Schneider just seems to be able to get the better exit and pull away a little bit.
Yeah, and you know, the status quo is maintained at the moment in this particular battle, but it has the potential to really spark at some point. I'm seeing the number 8 driver having a couple of problems. That's Rocco Barone, who seems to have spun it coming out of the final corner, and you can see him trying to get that car spun back around. That seems quite heavy damage on that GT3 Audi. He runs wide out of Sunset Bend, out into the grass he goes, and a heavy impact with the pit wall there that has pretty much, for all intents and purposes, ended Barone's race.
Yeah, quite possibly. I'm just looking back in the GT3s at the moment, and it's still Marino Serico, I should say, still leading. And yeah, doesn't seem to be much going on in the GT3s from what I see, but it seems to be a little bit more settled down.
Yeah, it does seem to be the case. Look at this run, though, from Trainer into turn 1. You might be semi-tempted to have a little bit of a look there. Turn 1 is very inviting at this track, but it tightens up on exit. The track just gets narrower. So if you're side-by-side through there, all of a sudden, by the time the exit arrives, you're not going to have a lot of space to work with, shall we say. And, of course, there's, you know, next to no runoff coming through that section. So that car on the outside risks going out onto the grass, and that can be a particularly big problem. But Alex Trainer at the moment, he is that car in the sandwich between Schneider and Erstgaard. And now, with these guys going, with these guys being for all intents and purposes held up at the moment, you are seeing Graven and Carla actually start to catch up to the back of them. So soon this 3, almost 4-car train will become potentially a 5-car train.
Yeah, it's quite possible if these guys keep holding each other up. This pack is just going to get bigger and bigger, and more cars are going to get involved. But at the moment, these guys are racing each other hard but fair, and just not doing anything silly.
Just gotta keep a cool head, just like the start of an endurance race, but anything but. Like I said, 32 minutes left remaining in this. Looking back at your GTE field at the moment, the Fonte still leading that one. You see this train that Josh Thompson is involved in at the moment, just on the edge of the top 5. Trying to hold position. Cornelis just ahead of him. Runs a bit wide. That's a bit of a bad exit there from Thompson. And now Gauso now is going to look to try and work his way by, coming up towards the final sector of the lap. He's found himself down the inside, and now Chris Lollam looking to try and get involved. He sends it down in there through Le Mans corner. Thompson pushing wide out onto the curb. He keeps it on the racing surface, though, as now these cars will be absolutely neck and neck into Sunset Bend. Lollam on the inside, Thompson on the outside into Sunset Bend, and well, you can make things very equal in the different lines that you can take this corner. It looks like Thompson's taking a big wide arc, looking to try and find that exit as he tries now to sit inside the slipstream all the way into turn 1. Does Wallem go defensive though? That's the issue. The answer to that's going to be no, but Thompson gives him a love tap into the braking zone. Lullem's able to keep hold of it though by the time the turn 1 exit has arrived, but that was a little bit boisterous from Thompson.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a bit scary to watch, but yeah, we all know how quick Josh Thompson can be, but also at the same time we all know how very how can I say feisty he can get at times.
Yeah, very, very feisty indeed. They've got a little bit of separation between them at the moment, which might be just as well, considering that altercation into turn 1. Meanwhile, GT3s, Victor Preto, the meat in the sandwich at the moment between Sedgwick and Halliburton. So P4, 5, and 6, excuse me, on the cards in this one. They have about a 3-second gap to Max Esterson, so if any of those drivers want to finish on the podium, then they're going to have to pull their fingers out. Meanwhile, in your Daytona prototypes, Alex Trainer, can he get by this time around? He's been struggling with getting this run on so many of the laps so far, and again, it's not quite going to work into turn 1, and Østgaard just waiting behind patiently for now, although Østgaard does show the nose a little bit off screen into turn 2 there. So he might start to get a little bit impatient at the moment. So I'm just very interested to see how this turns out, because if this goes all the way until the first set of stops, then you just have to count that as a massive loss for trainer Østgaard and Graven.
Yeah, I'm just looking now. This pack is sure building up, and it's just a matter of time. If I was Tommy Østgaard, I would probably try and make a move now. With just under 30 minutes in this race remaining, I think you've just got to try and go for it now and try and gain as many positions as possible. But looking back in the GT field, currently looking at P7 man Gianni Vecchio, after his mistake, seems to be in a bit of a recovery mode at the moment.
Yeah, he's already gotten past Josh Thompson, who was involved in that battle with Lullum just that one lap ago. So Vecchio making good progress through the fields at the moment. It's just a case of how high can he finish. And, well, he has a decent train of cars ahead of him, at least all the way up until maybe P4, maybe towards P3 might be an ultimate goal here for Vecchio. So you know, still having a podium finish be the best you can get here after that spin into the hairpin and losing so much time. That's got to be great there for Vecchio. A great pace being shown. Meanwhile, this battle for P3 and Daytona Prototypes. Trainer now trying to find something through the exit of the Sunset Bend, but again, not being all that successful. He is finally going to make the dive into turn 1. Schneider not going to fight it all that much. He gives an acre of space on the inside. Trainer's able to get through, and now he has to run for the hills. But Østgaard, Graven, maybe even Carla, how do they negotiate the situation now?
Yeah, it's a good question. What do these guys behind do? Like Carla, what do they do? Do they trying to make a move as quickly as possible, or just wait and maybe see if these guys make any mistakes? But drivers like Tommy Østgaard, they rarely make mistakes.
They can do, of course. Tommy Østgaard, a race winner, a feature race winner. Oh, boot loop! He's had a problem. That's P2 in your Daytona Prototype class. Oh, the rejoin. Well, there was a driver that did have to slow up there. That was actually Alex Trainer. So just as he got by on Schneider, all of a sudden he has Jeremy Bootloop in front of him as a result of a bit of a spin, it seems, for the Frenchman. Will he see exactly what's happened there? Or is it with this lap traffic? That'll be potentially awkward into the braking zone. And the car just swapped ends into the corner and has to get back going again. That's not the first time we've seen a driver do that. It's the exact same situation as Vecchio and GTEs.
Yeah, I was just watching the replay from my point of view, and I don't know if he just lost it or if he just slightly touched the grass with his left rear wheel. But that was a bit of a strange one. But he's managed to get going again, and he's in front of Alex Trainer, and just managed to hold on to that position.
Yeah, Trainer just had a slightly compromised line there coming through Sunset Bend, but he recovers it well, and that is what you can do through the final corner here at Sebring. Even if you make a slight mistake, it is still recoverable. As now into turn 1, of course, they are starting to deal with bits and pieces of GT3 traffic now. That's certainly not the main bulk of it yet, at least as far as this pack is concerned. Meanwhile, Alex Rogers, he's starting to hit the back of the train at the moment in the slowest class. So he's just acres ahead of these guys right now. He's get this, 12 seconds ahead of Jeremy Bootloop now. So if this is a signal of things to come for tomorrow, then Coanda are certainly going to be the team to beat.
Yeah, I think this is what we expect from Joshua Rogers most of the time now, with him being one of the top drivers on the iRacing service. I don't think anyone's surprised he's up at the front at the moment, just dominating and pulling away while everyone else is having their issues. But yeah, I think this is a sign of not just Joshua Rogers, but a sign of Coanda showing that they want to win this race tomorrow.
Yeah, although this driver, Alex Trainer, showing some good speed at the moment. He's part of IMSA Esports, so maybe expect them to be a bit of a force coming into tomorrow in that Daytona Prototype field. If they can mix it in with the likes of Coanda, then that would be a very, very positive result for them. But, you know, we still got quite some time before we even get the start of that race, let alone the end of it. So we'll just have to see exactly what happens there, as, again, it's going to be Jeremy Bootloop leading this train in towards Sunset Bends. Rogers 12 seconds ahead of these guys. He has a massive amount of breathing room. He is actually currently working his way through on the GT3 train at the moment, so his pace is going to be at least neutered somewhat right now. But meanwhile, look at this, side by side, Schneider, Erstgaard into turn 1, and Erstgaard was almost pinched into the pit wall there by Schneider. Just that car's with the space to work with on driver's right hand side, but they will remain as they were, with Erstgaard still behind. Trainer starting to gap this little group of 3 at the moment. So this is just all time that Erstgaard and Graving are losing right now, the longer that this pass, or this attempted pass, goes on for.
Yeah, and yeah, it looks like Tomás Okawa is into the pits now, making his pit stop. So the first of the drivers in this class to dive into the pits. He
is, and the first driver of everyone to take a scheduled stop, it seems. We did have Alexia Loma come down earlier for the GT3 class. He's 9 laps on his particular stint right now. I believe that one was unscheduled, but you know, we are getting towards the halfway point of the race now, so that's when, if you want to split it 50-50, that's when the option is, as I see Tommy Erstgaard actually went a bit wide coming through turn 13, and that has allowed Tim Graven to get himself past Erstgaard here. So I think this is now an instance of him clipping the grass, and the grass does quite well bites these cars, as you can see, well, out into the dirt, and then bringing that car back onto the circuit. Well held though to keep that car pointed in the right direction. Yeah,
especially around, as yes, I think something's happened to Josh Thompson, I believe.
Josh Thompson, yes, he is not out there on circuit. What has happened to him? That's a bit of an awkward one. Noses into the barriers. I'll have to get another look to see exactly what has happened there, as it's into turn 1, and the exit of turn 1 is absolutely fine. In towards turn number 2 now, or technically turn number 3 if you count that right-hand kink, and the rears broke away from him, and just was a passenger at that point and nosed into the barriers and decided to take the tow back to pit lane. He could have backed it out of there and actually rejoined the circuit and try and get a recovery drive going, but obviously he didn't feel like it.
Yeah, it looks like Josh Thompson's retired from this race as well, and it's something I've noticed in the update as well on iRacing since it came out. The GT3 cars and GTEs seem to, halfway through the stunt or towards the end of a stunt, start to lose grip on the rear tyres. So I don't know if Josh might have just been caught out by that, or just made a mistake and just decided to call it quits.
They did tweak the tyre wear, didn't they? So the double and triple stints that we were used to seeing in GTEs, a lot less possible. And you know, of course, that does take a bit of a period to adjust to that. You know, especially coming towards the end of the stint. But you know, typically, at least right now, we would only be about a third of the way through a 1 hour stint in those GTEs and GT3 cars. So you know, the tires should still be pretty healthy at this point. So I don't really think it's that. It's just a case of the same sort of thing as Viaccio, for example, with just locking up the rears into the hairpin and just not being able to recover things.
Indeed, as looking at the battle for P3 and GT at the moment between Fabrice Cornelis and the Augustin Canapino, as I get my words right, as yeah, someone's dived into the pits.
Yeah, we had race leader in, well, we had actually a Tasso Carla come down on towards pit lane. We now have Joshua Rogers on the pit lane. He's getting his pit service done. So the Daytona Prototypes pit stop window's in full effect. So is the GT3 pit window in full effect as well. Meanwhile, Schneider, let's have a little bit of a look. As you can see on the replay, heading his way through the last corner. Is this an instant in towards pit lane? No. He was caught in two minds. Oh, that's a huge instant on towards pit lane. Oh my word, that's absolutely ridiculous. There was a car pirouetting on its roof. I have never seen anything quite like that. That was Tommy Erstgaard that went up and over.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Patrick was doing there. I don't know if he was trying to go for another lap and figured out that he couldn't do another lap and decided to dive in at the last minute and just lost the rear end. But unfortunately, Tommy Ostergaard got caught up in that incident, and his race is basically over.
There's not a lot Tommy could have done about that coming into pit lane. That was Schneider deciding to stay out, and then last minute, oh wait, maybe the field doesn't work out, I'm gonna have to dive back in, and it just resulted in a calamitous incident there. As I saw the driver of number 5 boot loop have a problem just now, as he hasn't come down on towards the pit lane just yet, but it looks like he's had some sort of spin or problem into turn number 10 or turn number 11. So he's lost a bit more time now. And if I recall correctly, this was the same portion of the track there where he almost lost it last time he had a bit of a mistake.
Yeah, as also the directors there telling us that Jeremy's already pitted as well. So I'm not sure what happened to Jeremy again after his pit stop.
Oh, grass!
Oh, he lost it again at the same place.
Yeah, this one is grass influenced. Again, good job to hold the slide across the grass and keep that car going, but you just got to be so careful now with the track limits. And well, 18 minutes left remaining in this race. We've had Daytona Prototype stops, we've had GT3 stops. We are waiting for the GTEs to come down in for their one and only scheduled service. We're riding on board with Andrea Gayoso right now into Sunset Bend. Out on the inside of a GT3 machine they go. It's only going to be a matter of time before these cars head their way down onto towards pit lane, and that's exactly the decision that Gayoso has gone for as he angles to try and get his pit stop service done. Lefonte is also in as well, so that is going to be one of the front runners, the race leader early on, of course, and now he's down on towards the pit lane. Vecchio, he actually stayed out here. He's on his recovery drive through the field. Same, and we also have Maxime Briant staying out, Fabrice Cornelis staying out for GTEs as well. So Briant leading the GTE field at the moment, but we'll just have to see how much progress he's able to make through this pit stop phase as well.
Yep, as currently looking at the current GT leader at the moment, Maxime Briant. Well, everyone else is doing the pit stops, and I think some drivers might try and stay out as long as possible and save some time and not have to take as much fuel at the pit stop. So different strategies going on at the moment.
Yeah, and well, Carla, he has been a bit of a man on the mission at the moment. He was one of, well, I think if I'm reading this correctly, he was the earliest stopper in your Daytona Prototypes. And he's been able to use the fresh tires to his advantage here, at least in those out laps, and has now closed the gap to Joshua Rogers, It's now within around about 9.8 seconds. So we'll just call that 10 seconds between P1 and P2 at the moment. And when you consider that gap was bordering on 12 between Rogers and Erstgaard at the point during the end of that first run, then Carla has made up some massive speed.
Yeah, absolutely. Mas Carla is one of those drivers that we've seen in a few series on the iRacing service. He's been in the, I believe he's been in SEO. He's definitely been in the Neo Endurance series. So he's been around a few times, and also in the official stuff. And one of the quick drivers on the service is third place man in GT. Fabrice Cornelis dives into the pits for his pit stop.
Yeah, so Cornelis in, same with Briant, and Oliver Dean as well is down onto the pit lane. Vecchio has come down in. Augustin Canapino, one of the only drivers to stay out at the moment, and it seems like he will remain the only driver to stay out as Casey Kerwin brings that car on towards pit lane. You can see him right at the back of the shot. And Augustin Canapino, I can confirm, is the only driver to stay out on this lap for GTEs.
So it looks like Canapino's managed to save enough fuel to go for another lap as Cornelis comes out the pits as well. And it looks like Fabrice should be in P3 after the pit stops have cycled out. So Fabrice has been a bit of a eventful racing away after his incident with Josh Thompson, but after that it's settled down a little bit for him.
Yeah, just a bit. 15 minutes left remaining in this race though. Brica in P2 at the moment in GT3s. He's been embroiled in this race lead battle between himself and Juan Lopez, but Lopez is the car that's the head of the train right now, but you can just see the damage on the front end of Juan Lopez's car. It's not looking like it rolled off the factory floor, that is to be certain. And Suriga looking to close in right now and use that now advantage that he has by virtue of having a clean car. Maybe the balance of that Juan Lopez race leading currently GT3 car is going to be affected. And of course, as always with aerodynamic damage, you're talking about straight line speed as well. So maybe Suriga can use that to his advantage, and that is going to be such a big one, especially coming down the back straight into Sunset Bend and then in towards turn 1 as well.
Yeah, that slight damage he's got on the front, it could possibly affect him. Like you say, it could affect him on the straight, especially the back straight heading down to the final corner.
Look at this! He prizes the door open. Suriga looks to try and find a line on the inside through the hairpin, but how have they been able to keep that together? I don't know. They just came within an inch, even less than that, making contact. And now Max Esterson, he's been the outside observer, but now he goes for a spin into turn 10 of Cunningham. No one behind to get involved with the rejoin, but Esterson, he sensed an opportunity while those guys were scrapping ahead, but he kind of fell flat on his face. Yeah,
I don't know about you, but that just about ended up into the hairpin. That just about ended up in a game of pinball, but I'm not sure how they survived it and managed to make it through. But yeah, Esterson unfortunately clipped the grass and spun. We've seen a few people get caught out by that, clipping the grass and spinning. It's just maybe iRacing's, like I said earlier, made it more slippy, so the guys can't really, in a way, take a wider line into some of these corners.
Yeah. So the drivers are going to be learning quickly for tomorrow that what you can and can't do. But Suriga at the moment, he's involved in his own little race lead battle. Of course, he was leading early on, but in and amongst the pit stop phase, Juan Lopez has been able to get ahead. But for how much longer can he do it? For 12 minutes, can Juan Lopez to bring himself the race win here in the 45 minutes of Sebring. You can just see the lap gaps up on the screen, and it's not looking all that positive for Suriga, especially on that last lap where he lost 2/10.
Yeah, he's still managing to keep up with Juan though. I wonder if Suriga will try and do the same again into the hairpin and try and catch Juan out. But yeah, that was a very brave move to try and into the hairpin.
Meanwhile, GTEs, Maxime Briant, Fabrice Cornelis here, coming through here. And of course, you can count Vecchio in this battle as well in P number 5. So final podium spot up for grabs in the middle class in these GT Le Mans cars. Running on board with Maxime Briant. He is the meat in the sandwich. He has Vecchio behind, and a charging Vecchio and a charged Vecchio as well, as he's going to be feeling that he wants to pick up all these positions possible to recover from that early race spin. He's been doing a fantastic job so far. I did mention at the time that P3 might be the best that he's going to get, and he's just about, going to have an opportunity to get that coming into the final 10 minutes of the race. I don't think he's going to quite get that one more up into P2 though, but still, it's going to be a bit of a show here for Gianni.
Yeah, he's putting on a fight back at the moment, and just in front of him is as these guys are scrapping amongst themselves in front of him. Cornelis runs wide a little bit and he tries to hold off Gianni, but Gianni's doing a bit of angry driving at the moment and getting back through the field, and it seems to be paying off at the moment. He's picked up another position. Yeah,
Fabrice Cornelis compromised coming through that middle sector, drops the position. We'll see it on the replay. Cornelis looking to try, this is actually on board with Maxime Briant as he sensed the move down the inside, and he'll just sling himself around. A little bit of contact there. Coming through the hairpin, and that basically sealed Cornelis' fate there. A little bit of a frustration in terms of the flashing of the lights there, but that's all he can do in that situation. Just flash the lights, just let his emotions be known, and then just have to let Vecchio go by.
Yeah, it's a bit frustrating when someone kind of bumps you out the way or barges you out the way But it's just one of those things, especially it happens in real life, in the real life endurance racing. People like to get their elbows out and try and use that as a way to force their way by and pick up positions. But I can understand why Fabrice is frustrated, but he's just got to keep his head down and try and keep with these guys.
Yeah. Vecchio, next car on the list though is that car of Briant, and Briant slides it coming out of the first sector. Now this is an opportunity for Vecchio to try to find a way by in that Team Redline car. Driver's right hand side he goes in towards the hairpin, and that's all you need to know. But look at that, oh my word, Fabrice Cornelis just catching Briant napping there, as Briant was very, very generous in giving the position away to Vecchio. Cornelis punished.
Yeah, gee, that was all kicking off there. Just look at the replay as well. On board with Cornelis at the moment, and I think this is a brave move. I'm not sure how Fabrice managed to get it slowed down in time, but he kind of caught Briant sleeping at the moment, or at the time, and managed to take advantage and pick up the position.
Yeah, there's a little bit of leaning off the corner as well. There is absolutely nothing wrong with a bit of paint rubbing, as Paul Smith, our wonderful producer, mentioned. He's the one running the cameras at the moment. 8 minutes left remaining in this race. Vecchio, a bit of a compromised line through Le Mans though. Cornelis actually has a run on him. There's the battle for the GT3 race lead though, as we might even see 3 wide in this particular battle. Surely not into Sunset Bend, but look at that. Briant looking to try and get himself involved. That's a massive cutback. He might be able to get it done on the both of them. Still 3 wide coming through Sunset Bend. It's now 2 by 2 as Gayoso gets himself involved, but Cornelis has been shoved into the wall. They will continue on the battle though. Gayoso and Briant side by side in towards turn number 1. Briant on the inside trying to hold on to position, and he will do so, but it looks like Cornelis just completely and thusly shoved.
Yeah, that was a fair play to the guys for going just about going 3 wide into the final corners. We look at the replay from onboard Briant's view. As Briant gets a slipstream on Cornelis, Cornelis gets a run on Gianni Vecchio. As they head down to the final corner, they've gone 3 wide into the corner, and Briant gets a massive cutback, which is a brave move, but fair play to him. And then the exit of the final corner, it just all kicked off.
Yeah, and you can just see that run out of road. Cornelis absolutely nowhere to go apart from that concrete wall, and his race is basically done at this point. And It's unfortunate, but sometimes that is what happens in racing, and sometimes the racing gets a little bit too hot, and it results in crashes. And actually, I see a car going very, very slowly. It looks like it's Quanda GT3. I'm just having a look to see exactly who that is. And it is Rocco Barone. So he's had incidents early on in the race, and now he has seemingly more inside the final 6 minutes.
Yep, as I thought it was going to settle down a little bit towards the end of the race, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Everyone's still going at it, and just watching this battle on GT3 at the moment, this battle has been pretty much scoped as Sarika gets caught out in the marbles and has to slow down a little bit, so he loses time to Lopez. But this battle's been going on since after the pit stops, and it doesn't seem to be settling down anytime soon.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be calming down, although now Juan Lopez, he's put in a good couple of laps here and is able to extend the gap just a bit. It's up to 1 second now in that battle for the race lead. Meanwhile, look at this. Lockwood and Prato getting very, very close into the hairpin. Lockwood, that car second in line, and looking to try to break into the top 5 here. He might have an opportunity into turn 10. Just shows the nose and nothing more. Remains in line. We potentially have about 3 laps to go here by my estimation. So certainly time running out at the moment, but Lockwood just content to wait for an opportunity right now. Meanwhile, look at this. Vecchio down the inside there of, or rather, trying to battle with Brilliant, into the hairpin, and Vecchio is able to come out on top in that one. As these guys seemingly don't know when, the final whistle's been rung, and they're just still continuing to fight.
Yeah, as looking back from Gianni's car at the moment, this battle for Petit, I think, will go right down to the last lap, and yeah, they seem to be, these guys have been going at it for again since the pit stops. And
GT3. That's a squeeze. Vecchio. Also, you don't ring whistles, you blow them. But there we go. I can recognize my mistakes, it's fine. But Gianni Vecchio and Brion, look at this traffic though, that's starting to cause Vecchio a bit of a problem. Brion, though, not going to be close enough to capitalize. You see Vecchio just weaving down the back straight, just making his presence known to that GT3 ahead. And, well, if there's any doubt that there was a GTE car trying to come through, it's very, very obvious now. And Vecchio will get that run off the corner and catch the GT3 car in just the right place to get himself by on the inside of turn 1. He'll have to take a bit of a shallower line, though, since that GT3 was not really wanting to give up too easily. But, again, it's not going to matter in the grand scheme of things. Brion still relatively close, though.
Yep, and doesn't seem to have any issues getting through the GT3 traffic, and managed to get back without any issues. And Vecchio and Bryant are still close together, but back up at the front overall, Joshua Rogers has not really had anyone challenging him for most of the race. Just still up at the front and just a bit of no man's land.
Yeah, gap is back up to 12 seconds, so it did hit below 10, getting towards 9, but Carla simply not able to keep up with the pace of the 2019 Porsche Esports Super Cup champion. Meanwhile, though, Trainer, he's able to keep up with Carla. So you can see that gain on that previous lap, 0.2 of a second going Alex Trainer's way. So we've got multiple places to look here. You got that battle for P3 in GTEs, you got the battle for the race lead in GT3s, and you got this battle for P2 in your Daytona Prototype. So things are looking pretty spicy coming towards the end of this one.
Absolutely. This battle for
Lockwood
P6.
and Prato. Oh, Lockwood! It's close coming through Sunset Bend, but Prato's able to hold it together. I think there was a couple of love taps from Lockwood coming through that section that might have just made Prato's car slightly unstable, but he's able to get through just fine. Meanwhile, Briant, he's been able to find himself down the inside of Vecchio. This is the battle for P3, the final step of the podium GTEs, but Briant's overcooked it. He takes a slide through Sunset Bend, avoiding action by drivers behind, and now Vecchio is pretty secure in P3, unless Gayoso can do anything anything about it, but we'll have to see and look at the replay. Brion overcommitment into Sunset Bend. Car steps out, the rear end breaks away, and he just has to slam on the anchors to get it slowed down and to not completely do a pirouette.
Yeah, it's an easy mistake to do in the final corner because of the bumpy nature. If you carry too much speed even over the bumps, it'll just unsettle the car and it'll pitch you sideways like we've just saw by riding on board with Alex Traynor at the moment, and he's hassling Tommaso Calla. So this battle for the podium is going to go down to the final lap, I feel. And Traynor he's been having a good race. He's not been involved in any issues apart from that slowdown that he got in the back straight on lap 1, but hassling Calla at the moment.
It's going to be very close to whether this will be the final lap or the next lap will be the final lap. But look at that, Alex Traynor, very aggressive with the lap traffic, but with about 15 seconds left remaining and Rogers currently heading his way through the final sector, this is actually going to be the final lap of the race. So Joshua Rogers coming up towards the just a little less this section before Le Mans corner. You can take that big wide arc coming through the corner and be able to find that speed coming onto the back straight, but it's been a dominant performance that we've been used to here in iRacing from Joshua Rogers. He leads by 12.5 seconds coming into the end of the race, and into Sunset Bend he goes. A bit of lap traffic ahead won't be a cause for concern as Joshua Rogers takes round 1 here at Sebring for Race Sport TV Friday primetime in the IMSA Online Sports Car Championship. But meanwhile, you have a look at some of the other battles out there on circuit as well. We see the GTE race leader. There's Daniel Lafonte. He's heading his way through the first sector at the moment. That race isn't quite done yet because I believe that Rogers didn't quite get past that GTE race leader coming towards the end. So there we go. That one will just have to wait. But meanwhile, in GT3s, it looks a little bit like this. Juan Lopez leading at the moment from Sirica. But Sirica, try as he might, that gap actually looking to come down bit by bit at this stage of the race. So we'll just have to watch this one through all the way until the end to decide who is going to be the race winner in GT3s. Juan Lopez looking pretty comfortable at the moment as he comes up towards the final sector here. And Sirica trying to close in. Still 0.4 of a second, so pending a mistake here from Lopez, I think Lopez should be clear onto the back straight. Half a second between them now, so we can pretty much say that as long as Juan Lopez nails Sunset Bend, it's going to be a race win in GT3s for him as he angles into the late apex of that corner, and he can find the traction off it as well. Not a problem for Juan Lopez as he heads his way across the line to win in GT3s. And now we get to say it, and now we get to look at your GTEs, because Daniel Lafonte leading that one, heading his way through the final corner. He will be the race winner here in GTEs in that Porsche, heading his way across the line, and that is a brilliant win for Daniel Lafonte. Massive amount of pace behind the wheel of that Porsche GTE machine. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with coming into the Sebring 12-hour tomorrow. But we have this race in the books now, and well, there was action pretty much everywhere you looked, Ryan.
Yeah, that was an exciting way to kick off the new iRacing season, and yeah, in a way, a preview to the Sebring 12 hours tomorrow. So there should be interested to see what sort of. We'll be interested to see who's up there in the main race tomorrow. But this evening, that was absolutely fantastic racing in every class, and that was great fun to commentate on.
It was. Here are your official race results. Joshua Rogers by 12.8 seconds over Tommaso Calla. Alex Traynor grabs a podium finish with Jeremy Bootsloop in P4. Luca von Leitner finishes with a top 5 in that class. Robin Haase in P6. Manuel Sudau in 7th. Tim Graven P8. He had a couple of late race issues that put him back in that position, as he was in that sort of train for P2 and 3 early on. Patrick Schneider, he was involved as well at the very front of the field. He finishes in P number 9. Tommy Erskine with an incident with Schneider onto pit lane. He ends up with 10th place, and that is dead last as far as Daytona prototypes are concerned. GTEs, though, Daniel Lafonte by 6.8 seconds over Augustin Canapino, but Gianni Vecchio with a massive recovery drive for Team Redline. He's able to grab himself the final podium spot. We see Gayoso in P4. We see Loham in P5. Maxime Briant finishes in P6. He was seemingly involved in everything here today, with Keanu Bushman in P7, Oliver Dean P8, Yuri Kassorp in P9, and Pablo Lopez finishes in the 10th spot. And the rest of the runners in GTEs, Casey Kerwin finishes 11th, with Renan Azaredo in P12, Fabrice Cornelis P13, with Josh Thompson P14, Marcel Tai will round out the 15 cars in that class. In GT3s, Juan E. Lopez comes out on top over Moreno Sirica, and we see Max Esterson on that final step of the podium. Kane Halliburton in P4 with Victor Preto P5, Diego Catalan P6, Nicholas Laubish P7, Brian Lockwood in P8, and Barry Morrison finishes in 9th. Sergej Maturana with a top 10. Dennis Grabowski finishes 11th with Alexia Loma in 12th, Jonathan White in 13th with Jack Sedgwick in P14, Rocco Barone with A Day to Forget in 15th. That's the racing over and done with here for Race Sport TV Friday Primetime, but don't go away because we have the post-race show just after this.
Coming up to the line, being chased, and it was Braden Johnson. Unbelievable finish. It was 1/1000th of a second between them.
Green flag in the air. We are racing in the 2020 24 Hours of Daytona.
They go door to door for the feature race lead here on the last lap of the race.
Side for the race lead in the final corner at Homestead. Down the back straightaway, 3 wide again for the race lead. This is unbelievable stuff here tonight.
Loma is going to have to be very deep on the brakes, and he is very deep on the brakes. It's side by side through the corner. This is for the win.
It'll be side by side. Davies low, Ottinger high. To the very inside is Garrett Lowe. 4 wide at the stripe.
All these win here on this outside line, neck and neck. Who's going to back out? Does anyone back out?
Verstappen starts to squeeze on the inside, and now he'll try and straight line it. Goes under the apron, drag race to the line. It's so close to call.
Hello everyone and welcome to the post-race show of the IMSA Online Sports Car Championship, our Friday primetime feature on Race Sport TV for this season, and we couldn't have really asked for a much better start. Action-packed all the way throughout in all 3 classes. Joshua Rogers wins out in Daytona Prototypes, Daniel Lafonte in GTEs, and of course we also had the driver of Lopez, winning out in your GT3 division. As you can see, those summary of the results coming up on screen for you now. And like I said, Ryan, it was an absolutely action-packed race from start to finish. Can't really guarantee that for the 12 hours of Sebring, but then again, I wouldn't be surprised with how close everyone is.
Yeah, absolutely. It was close. It was close throughout the field, and from the DPs, the GTs, and GT3s. And like I said before, I think it's a good preview of what to expect tomorrow in the 12 hours of Sebring. But tonight, that was absolutely fantastic racing, and I'm looking forward to commentating on the other races this season. and I think we're in for more of the same next week.
Yeah, hopefully we are, and hopefully some of these drivers stick around, not just because it's the day before 12 hours of Sebring, but because this is an absolutely fantastic series in terms of its competitiveness, especially in the likes of that GTE field, which seemingly race on race on race is the stronger of the three fields as far as driver participation. But you know, this is now our little preview done for tomorrow, Ryan. Is there any big takeaways that you think can be brought into that race from here? Anything that you might have learnt, or the drivers might have learnt from this, and that can be applied to tomorrow?
I think something simple, even like simple stuff like when it comes to lapping traffic. I think people have got practice in that area, so they've got a feeling of what to expect in the main race. But in the main race tomorrow, it'll be completely different because you'll have more cars and more drivers, and yeah, there's a few things that drivers will probably preview or expect, but the list could go on.
Yeah, very much. And you know, we have potentially in that top split of the Sebring 12 hours, you know, we're going to have basically who's who in terms of sim racing. We might even have who's who in terms of the real life racing side of things, depending on how many drivers from that side want to get themselves involved, given the lack of real life racing going on at the moment. We will just have to wait and see. But with that, we're done here on Race Sport TV for our Friday primetime segment. I am Conor Maddock. I was joined by Ryan Walker. We also had Paul Smith behind the scenes, pointing all the cameras at things, and of course setting up all those graphics. Istvan Ballo for providing the camera pack that we use here on Race Sport TV broadcast. Trackcast22.com if you want to use the same ones that we do for these broadcasts. But with that, see you guys tomorrow, because it is the iRacing 12 hours of Sebring, and it's going to be another iRacing special event to enjoy here on the iRacing Esports Network. Join us for that, but for now, goodbye.